Hi, welcome to Self Build TV. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Self Build process. If that might be of interest to you, please watch on.
Welcome to Self Build TV. We look to demystify the self-build process so you can learn to build your dream home without risk and stress that other self-builders face. Now back to Ryan.
So welcome back. My name is Ryan, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the Self Build process. This is only going to be a very high level sort of snippet of it. If you are interested in a little bit more of a deep dive of the process, I outline that in a short course I put together called Self Build Made Easy, which is a video course as well as there is an e-book. So click on the link down below and order your free Self Build Made Easy starter pack. But moving on to the Self Build process, there are 3 key steps in your Self Build process. I call it the brief stage, the design stage, and then you have the building stage. And most people think self-build, the biggest stage, is the building stage. But ironically, and what most people will find throughout the self-build process, is that the build stage is probably one of the shortest stages if it's done correctly. The only time when it starts to become bloated and long-winded is when they don't do the first 2 stages correctly. And that's when self-builders take on a lot of risk, a lot of stress, and end up risking their life savings. So let's go through quickly what the self-build process looks like and what I would recommend. So this is based on years of experience working in the commercial sector and seeing how they've developed it over years, and I've tweaked it slightly to help with the intricacies of self-building. So first stage is the brief stage. You want to first understand your budget. So it's pointless starting out knowing if you can or cannot afford it. The next stage is starting to understand what your wants, must-haves, must-not-haves. Literally just writing down what you want, because you're going to at one point need to tell a design team what you want, but at the same time, if you don't write it down, there's a lot less chance of you actually getting what you want at the end of the day. And once you've got that down, you can start looking for land. In the ebook, I talk a little bit more about finding land, and also we'll be doing a lot more in the Self-Build TV series on how to find land as well. So once you've found your land, you can now move on to the next stage, which is your design stage. So that's also broken down into 3 easy to digest parts. You need to appoint a design team, and don't skimp and save on the design team. Most people who do skimp and save on it will actually end up paying for it once they're on site. And like I say, it makes it very entertaining to watch on TV when people do that, but you don't want your home to be the next sort of drama series. So appoint a decent design team, because they will save you money, and if they're a crap design team will cost you a lot of money. A good design team will save you money, and a great design team will save you a lot of money. So it's worth doing it. It's like a good accountant will pay for itself. So once you've got a design team on board, you then appoint to your design team, and then you brief your design team. Then once you've got briefed your design team, and that's a key thing to make sure you've got a decent brief. A lot of design teams jump and run off without having any decent briefs, and that's why it's important to write down what you want at the beginning. And then you can start to design your building. They've gone through the process many times. They should have their own design process, and they should draw out what you want the building to be like and how you want to live there. Like, it's a tailored process. It's like going to the tailors. You pick out what you want, what suits you, what don't you, and they should challenge you as well on your assumptions. So at the end of the day, it's an iterative process, but it is a fantastic, if it's done properly, you'll have a fantastic building. So once you've done the design, you go out to tender, so you get a competitive quote from many contractors, so you get the best value for your building. Once you get your preferred contractor, you can move on to the build stage. And like all the other stages, I've broken it down to 3 stages. Negotiation, then you go to detailing, and then you do the actual build. Many people go straight from appointing the contractor to breaking ground the next day without actually finalizing all the intricacies of the contract. Typically, Clients' aspirations outweigh their budget quite a lot, so that's why we say that having a negotiation stage allows you to value engineer, work with the contractor, and now as a member of the team to bring the price down to the budget and also tweaking things. But you don't want to appoint them until you've got that sorted. Once you've got everything sorted, you can then appoint them. So you don't have to go with them until the point of actually agreeing what's going to be built. Once you've agreed what's going to be built, that is when you should be actually saying, that's fine, let's go ahead with it. Rather than what some people do is go on a letter of intent and say, oh, work it out when we're on site. It gets very expensive, very complicated, and that's where arguments start to set off. So it's not advisable. Next stage is detailing. What commonly gets done is that a lot of professionals will do detailed design to a client's brief, it will go out to contract, and then it will be over budget. And then the project will need to be redesigned in some parts, and there's no time to do that, or we end up chasing your tail. So it's very important to have a set time after negotiation to finalize the design with the contractor, run through the intricacies of the building and finalize how things are going to actually physically be built, rather than rushing away and start building and start chasing their tails throughout the whole build process, because that is when problems and mistakes occur. And we don't want any mistakes, changes once the building is on site. It might take a little bit longer, and there are things that the contractor can start to do, like the groundworks before the building foundation needs to even start to be thought about. So it doesn't need to hold up the build process. So once you've got the design all fully up and running and signed off by yourself and everybody else, you can go on to the build phase. And then the build phase is relatively simple if you've done it properly. The contractor knows what they're going to build, you know how much it's going to cost, you know when you're going to have to pay that. And most of the problems, if not all, have been ironed out. If you haven't done any of what I've just suggested before and just jumped into the build stage, you'll be ironing out problems, you'll be paying for things. There won't be any sort of schedule to say, well, all right, well, that's going to cost that amount of money. And you'll be like, well, what's that based on? So it's having a good contract and a good contract administrator to help you along that process makes a huge difference. But if you've done all those processes as well, it makes it so much easier when it's on site. In theory, your job once it's on site is literally to pay the bills and help sort of tweak a few things throughout the project. Ideally, there should be no changes, but let's be honest, you're building a prototype and there will be some slight changes through the building phase, but that's just to be expected, but it's going to be significantly less than if you just went and jumped in it. So that is the self-build process in a nutshell. I know it's a lot to take in straight away. So if you want to know a little bit more about that sort of build process, please click on the link down below and order the free starter pack for Self-Build Made Easy starter pack. In that pack includes a video series as well as my ebook on it. You also get exclusive content as well as join your community, and you also get some free expert advice as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to get in contact with me. I'll be more than happy to help, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
Thank you for checking out Self-Build TV. Don't miss out on the Self-Build Made Easy starter pack, and go to www.selfbuild.tv now to order your free copy to start your self-build journey. You will also get access to a community, exclusive content, and free expert advice. Go to selfbuild.tv now.